So I am Elizabeth Curry, MAPS Executive Coach, and I have the pleasure today of being with Josh Wells. Josh, give folks a little idea of where you're at, and you sell a house or two also, right?
Yep, I try not to because you shout at me. I'm Josh Wells. I'm the Expansion Director for the Edie Waters Network, powered by Lacido Global. Originally not from here, from England originally. Came over to the States back in 2010. Started off in property management, started selling a little bit, then kind of wanting to do the TL role, but then partnered up with a team and kind of fell into this role. And now I would never want to do the TL role because I love what I'm doing here. So that's kind of how I fell into where I am right now.
Absolutely, Josh. Well, and you know, not to discredit our great TLs, we love them, but you found a phenomenal businesswoman to get behind. Tell folks a little bit about Edie Waters.
Yeah, no, she's amazing. So been in the business 27 years, 28 years now. Started off as a single person like all of us, and then met her director of operations, who's been with her 23 years now. She's still part of our network and part owner as well. And yeah, she's great. She's willing to jump in where she needs to. She sells where she needs to, goes on appointments with agents when they want to. Her big role and why now is just kind of leaving that legacy. She doesn't want to be one of the agents who build something and then when she retires, it's okay, see you and sail off into the sunset. She wants to sail off into the sunset, but leave something behind so she doesn't just go away and all the agents' business crumble. No, we're set up where we can carry on and support our agents long after when Edie's no longer with us.
Yeah, and we mean that in a very figurative, beautiful way, right? And so talk to folks a little bit about the very beginning stages. You decide you're an agent, you're selling some houses, you come to work with Edie. What does that transition look like from that agent into that director of expansion role?
Yeah, it's not the ideal story. It kind of happened by chance. She knew when I joined, like I mentioned, I wanted to be in that TL role. And she said to me, work with me for 3 years and I'll get you so much experience in that 3 years that I will help you find you a TL position somewhere in the United States. So she'd already done that with one other person. And I was like, absolutely, let's do it. Well, in about a year into it, Kristen Cole was in town and was teaching ESO. So she was like, do you want to come to this class? And, you know, as we're growing and it'd just be good exposure for you as a team leader one day. So we went, and as she was talking and explaining how it works and how to get set up to start expansion, Edie tells this story. We kind of looked at each other and she was like, that sounds kind of fun. I was like, yeah, that does sound pretty good. She was like, should we do that? And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And honestly, that's kind of how it rolled from there. And we've carried down that path. And like I said, when I joined the team, there was, including myself and the staff, there was 6 of us. And there are 57 of us. And we're in one market center. There's now 57 of us, and we're in Missouri, Kansas, and some locations in Colorado as well.
Yeah. So this almost sounds like this organic, you know, we're here to talk about the myth understandings of expansion. And sometimes we hear this, well, does the lead take you? Or does the location take you? Does the who take you? Right. And at the very core of this, your relationship with Edie started out very organically. And I would say it started out with the who. She looked at you and she said, hey, what do you think? What does this look like? Right.
Yeah.
From there, take us into that evolution of when you decide, you know, why should a team even decide to expand?
Yeah. And so we're in the North Kansas City Market Center, and I live in a town called Blue Springs, which is about 35, 40 minutes southeast of the Market Center. So there's actually a market center called Lee Summit closer to where I live than the host market center that I'm in. So what happened was, organically with me selling, we were getting more calls out that way, and we were getting more leads coming that way. And then agents out that way were talking to me more. So then it just kind of organically happened where our top agents here in the North office, they didn't want to go south of the river because they had enough business up here. So we started getting business out that way. And we basically realized we have the TCs in place, we have the marketing in place. At the time, we didn't have ISAs or anything, but we knew that we could service this location as well to a high level because it was literally 35-minute drive away. So if there was a problem, we could be in both market centers in the same day. So that kind of organically happened there. And then as we grew, because we're right on the border of Missouri and Kansas, we started getting agents that joined us who were dual licensed, Missouri and Kansas. Well, then that opened the door for the Kansas side. So then we started buying some leads, getting more calls from the Kansas side, and that helped us grow in that market center. So it all happened kind of like Gary mentioned the ink blot and how that worked.
Yeah.
That is exactly how we done it. And we did have opportunities. I mean, the team leader, she helped get a position, actually became a team leader in California. So my first year, I flew out there, met with him, met with some agents. I was like, oh, this could be fun. Look at the price point. But then when we came back, we realized that we couldn't service that location at the time. Now I think we can handle it. But at the time, it would have been a mess. So we kept
Stay
it.
right there for a second, though, because sometimes that shiny object, right? Oh, this looks really attractive. What was that factor? If there was something that you would say that you guys chose not to expand there at that time, what was it?
I would say it was, at the time, we didn't have as much income coming in because we were a small team of 6. And we're very face-to-face, like to meet you in person, kind of that sort of team. We're not oh, great, you've joined us, go do your thing, see ya. So for that, it wasn't convenient. It wasn't cheap to fly out to California, spend a few weeks there, fly back, and then keep going back and forth. Whereas Colorado, like I said, the Who brought us to Colorado, but Edie is out there 3 or 4 times a year. I normally go out there once a year. Claudia, our director of operations, has a son that lives out there now. So we're always out there pretty much every quarter as well. So that was easier, and we can be that face-to-face there. And at the time, honestly, we didn't really have Zoom like we did now. Thanks to the pandemic, that kind of helped us with Zoom. We didn't really use that back then. So that was the reason why. It's just we couldn't be face-to-face with them and give them the care that they probably would have deserved.
Yeah. So you held the ink blot wasn't just a great idea from Gary. It wasn't just proven to work. For you, it was we can't reach that. And we want to be able to have that culture. We want to be able to have our people, that relationship, right? So let's hit up all of our C's. I know there's a ton of C's on this call wanting to know, tell us about the systems and operations. Now, I also know that's not your lane. So give us an idea, just what are some of the foundational elements that you think should be in place when a team considers to expand?
Yeah, so I think number one is the transaction side of things, whether you're using a virtual person or you have the in-house people, having that set up. And again, we're right now, in full transparency, we're trying to revamp it. We're always trying to make it better. So we're trying to offer more services to the agent. But at the time, we had it set up where no matter where you was in the metro area of Kansas City, we were all in the same MLS. So that was a big thing. We were all under the same MLS. So we knew the rules and regulations, and we had the staff here and the manpower that when you wrote that contract and sent it to us, we could work with the title companies, the lenders, amendments, and it was fine. For example, in Colorado, where our guys aren't licensed out there, we have someone out there that is not virtual, someone that is on the boots on the ground out there, that we pay per transaction to offer them that service, because we wouldn't be able to offer the service here for the TCs. Now we can offer the marketing here, the leads here, the ISA here, but the TC portion that's so important, we couldn't do that at a high level in Colorado. So we had to bring in an outside source for that. But that's when we started off here in Kansas City. We made sure that was tight. And then at the time, honestly, we didn't have a huge marketing department. We had a part-time marketing person because there was 5 of us. Now it's grown where we have 3 or 4 full-time marketing people. And that's really helpful for our agents, and we can do that all over the locations. But the most important thing was the training that we offered, the support, the brokerage support at basically all hours of the day, and the TC support. That was our main focus.
Yeah. Anything on the lead side?
Yeah, so we didn't do it great back then. Back then we paid for leads, but they would come in and we'd have the agents have to be the person that would make those calls. That felt good to the agent at times, because of course us agents, sometimes if we dial a number and it's a lead, whether it's a good lead or a bad lead, we feel like we've worked today and we felt busy. So we wasn't converting at a high level. And when we had one of our big meetings every year to plan out the following year, we sat down and said, okay, what can we do better? And they were like, well, the leads aren't that great. And it was a case of, well, the lead's not great, or are you not getting to them quick enough, not following up with them quick enough? And they all said, our team is not very outbound. They're all inbound, big COI, open house people. So they said, if we get in front of the person, we're great. But getting in front of the person is the problem, because I can't take the call while I'm with a client in a house. So we said, well, we can bring in an ISA, but it's going to cost you guys a little bit. It's going to cost us some, but it should be a lot more profitable for everyone. So that's when we then implemented an ISA, brought in a second one, and we're looking to grow that aspect. And that has been huge for us. I think when I looked so far this year, they brought in I think they had like 12, 13 million so far close and pending for us in conversions of leads. They don't really do a lot of outbound. We have a lot of inbound leads, but they're converting those at a lot higher level now.
Yeah. So was there a number at some point where you guys as leadership, you said, you know what, when our profit gets to a specific percentage, it'll dictate our decisions? Or was it the more of the organic, the who part of that? How did you decide to spider off and get into these other locations?
It was the who part. Evie has been great, and this is what we tell everyone. Evie doesn't need to do this for the money anymore. She does it because she loves it, and like I said, the legacy.
Yeah.
So she, like I said, if she has to spend money to make some money, of course we've got to be smart. And her husband is actually our CFO.
We watch the profit. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, his spreadsheets are crazy, but they're amazing. He's saved us a lot of money at times. But that is when the right person comes. If they're the right cultural fit and we see the benefit there, we will move forward and see if we can bring them into our world and expand our world. Like Gary says, if you got to expand your world to fit everyone else in it, and that's what we're really trying to do at a high level. We have agents that have built teams within our team. We have an agent that will sell 100 plus homes this year, so we have to make sure we're offering enough value for them to stick around.
Okay, so there's a myth understanding. Why would I be on a team selling 100 plus units?
Depending on who you are, like for me, I tell everyone when they join, I would never want to go solo again. I hated it. Now, some people love being solo. They look at their numbers and it makes sense and they want to do that, great. But that's where it depends on, you've got to hire the right people. And one of our agents that is going to sell the 100 plus homes, she was solo for a while and her profitability wasn't there. She had so much going out the back door, and then also the time she was spending to sell 30 or 40 homes. She then joined us and was coaching with Edie and the team, throwing the leads, throwing the marketing, and her expenses went away basically. And she could leverage herself more to sell more. So now, she lived way north. She bought a home closer to Kansas City so she can bounce back and forth and do her business, spend more time with the grandkids. And now, don't get me wrong, she works super hard to sell 100 homes. It doesn't just come in on our team. And she works harder than most of our agents, honestly, because she just has to sell that level. But she can do that with the support.
Yeah. Well, and Josh, it honestly sounds like, are you going to sell 100 houses this way, or are you going to sell 100 houses this way? And if she were here, we could probably dig into quality of life and what is that counterbalance? What are those benefits from being on a team? You've touched a little bit on culture. Is that an easy gig?
No, especially as we grow. And that's we're always not fighting it, but that is always our challenge, because we always want to make sure we have a solid culture and foundation, and we're starting to revamp that a little bit. And some of our agents now, or one of our agents, she sells at a high level, but that's a big thing for her. She sticks around because of the culture. And so she wants to help learn more about agents and have everyone learn about each other, do more get-togethers. So we kind of task her and having her run with that. So now she's kind of running questions every week in our Facebook page. She's going to be implementing get-togethers, which doesn't cost the team anything. And if no one wants to show up, that's fine. But she might say, hey, we're going to go walk our dogs this day and time on Saturday. Who wants to be there? And then it'll just kind of build and grow that. I think sometimes we think it has to be throwing money at it. And we've done the whole, let's go out for the day and have a limo when we hit certain numbers and stuff. And we do that. But I think this is more organic, and we have runners on our team. Well, we might start saying, great, we're going to meet at this spot on day and time. I'm running anyway. Do you want to join me? And just do more of that, because that was the thing when COVID happened. Before COVID, our culture was really, really strong. As soon as COVID happened, we had a big growth during that COVID time. Well, we weren't coming in-person meetings. We weren't able to do our big events. And so agents were seeing people on calls here and there, and like, who is this person? Who is this person? And even now, because we're kind of hybrid right now, where some agents come in for meeting in person, some prefer being on Zoom still, that's fine with us. So even that, it's a little bit at times like, who's this person? Who's this person? So this will hopefully bring that sticky a little bit closer together.
Yeah. Could you describe a little bit? It's 2019. We are all just living life vicariously. And what was the culture like in that moment?
It was solid. I mean, because of the time, 2019, I would say we had, I'm guessing here, but there was probably 20 or so, 25 agents and staff. So we all knew each other. A lot of them were we were only in 2 locations, I think, at the time. So it was very close. So we could get one limo and we could all be in the limo together. Or we could all go to one restaurant and be on the same table for dinner. Where now, where we're spread out a bit more and people have different things going on with their lives and different states, getting everyone together at one time is pretty impossible at times. So that's why we want to set up these kind of get-togethers and events, because if you're a reader, we might do a book exchange. If you're a wine guy, we might do a wine exchange. If you want to run, we're going to go run together. So that way you can pick and choose what you want to go to and don't have to feel like it's oh, I've got to go to this event and have lunch with these people now, you know.
Interesting. So it almost sounds like you are catering to your agent base the way that we would cater to our client base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we do like to say our agents, they're our clients. And Edie uses this analogy that you have our executive team and our staff, and then we have our agents on top, and then we have our clients at the very top of that pyramid. A lot of teams, a lot of businesses, you know, you have your CFO and all this stuff, CEO at the top, and it filters down. Edie doesn't even want her name on the sign. She hates having the name on the sign. We just have to do it because it's been that way forever. So she likes us to be that support, and we're just customer service, and our agents are our customers. And Edie will admit she's an enabler at times. So an agent might come to us with a complaint and we jump at it, and then it causes some problems sometimes. We have to go back and fix it. But we are always just trying to better the experience with the agent so we can keep that retention. And we have pretty good retention with our agents as well.
Yeah, well, and Josh, I think you said something really important there, right? It's catering to listening is really what I heard, right? There's such and Edie sets the tone for leadership for us, right? Edie sets that tone, but then you guys as a leadership team, you're carrying out that your client base is your agent base, and you hold that to be true such that you listen.
Yep.
You actually are willing to say, is that not working? Hold on a second. Let's look under the hood and figure out what's not going on. What's not working there, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing I would kind of warn everyone on as well, is everyone, when you have a team our size, everyone's got different stripes on the beach ball, like Edie says. So what my stripe is different to what hers is, you know. And so we might hear something from an agent. Well, it might not be a complete team issue. It might just be that one person had a bad day and they're mad about something. So we're trying to get better at, because we've been very reactionary at times in the past. Oh, this agent said this, that means the whole team is upset about it. No, it just might mean that didn't work for that one agent. Let's talk to that person before we kind of overhaul everything. So that's something that we're always constantly working on, because we are just trying to please the agents at times. And so we've got to do a better job at that so it doesn't frustrate other people.
Sure. Well, then it's an evolution, just like anything, right? So I want to go back to this evolution that happened in your team. So we're small and mighty 2019. Pandemic comes around 2020, and you had a huge year of growth. So how does one grow specifically in a pandemic year?
Yeah, it was incredible. It was crazy. I wish I knew the secret sauce behind what happened. I think people felt the stress and felt the pain. And I think, just like Gary's been saying, over the years, you're going to see these bigger and bigger super teams happen. And we've been looking at that and talking about that for years now. And I think people are starting to say, okay, I'm seeing all these agents being super successful over here. And we had one agent, the month we went under lockdown, she wrote 13 contracts in 1 month when we all went under lockdown. So everyone, I think people were seeing that and was like, okay, what's going on there? How's it working? So I think that people panicked, and they were like, maybe we need that team and support. And I think they started to realize and appreciate what teams can offer you and kind of give you that stability, whether the times are good or times are bad. It just gives you that more of an even kill, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe helped people get in perspective around what exactly a team, let alone an expansion team, could offer them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're not here to talk about all things great. We had a big period of growth. What did we actually net? What did we keep after the fact?
The amount of agents we netted, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I knew you was going to ask me a number question I should have brought with me. Again, I'm going off an estimate, so don't hate me too much. Last year, I would say there was about 6 agents, I think, parted ways with or self-discovered off the team. And quite honestly, out of those 6 agents that left, there was 1 that was producing. And even that, and this is what we're proud about, I haven't had an agent leave yet, unless they haven't told us, that says, you don't do enough for us. You don't care about us. You don't speak to us. Whenever an agent has left us in the past, it's either, you know what, it wasn't that great of a fit because I've just realized I'm a solo person. I don't like following models and systems. I want to do my own thing. Totally appreciate that. Or they come back and they say, you know what, I didn't put the work in. I didn't make enough money. But that one person that was one of our selling agents, he flat out told us when he interviewed with us, I only want to be on the team for about 3 years because I want to get enough money so I can go and flip and things like that. He didn't want to work with people. He was only doing it to make his money so that he could go off and do his thing. Totally on board with that. And he done the work. It wasn't us, but it felt nice to see You had a goal, you hit that goal. It meant you're no longer with us, but hopefully we was a small part on why you got there and we helped you get your goal. And he's great. And honestly, Edie's helped do some investing with him because he was a great guy and it worked out really.
Yeah. So in a year where, you know, the world is literally on fire and there's all this uncertainty, you find this area, this group of agents where they're just seeing that value piece, right? How does that culture piece translate from state lines? You mentioned getting into Colorado. How does that culture bleed over?
Yeah, it definitely comes down to who that you have there. So fortunately for us, he was an assistant team leader here, Mark Solomon, amazing guy. He's actually deployed right now in Africa with the military. So he had a small team here in Kansas City, and he helped, you may not have heard about it, but the Veteran Community Project. It's a tiny home community project here in Kansas City for homeless veterans. Well, it kind of blew up. It went amazing. And then they wanted him to do that in Colorado. So that's his passion. That's his thing. So he moved his family out to Colorado, and his small team he had here, he knew and trusted us and how we worked. And he used to always pick our brain about growth and building. He said, could we make something work where you could absorb my team? So we did. Didn't have anything to do with Colorado. It was just Kansas City. Well, then deployment came around. He saw the success his agents were having here in Kansas City. And then he said, hey, I got a small group of people here in Colorado. Can we make something happen there? And then when I come back, you know what you're good and what you're bad at. For him, he's a connector. He's great at meeting people. Everyone loves him. But when it comes to the day-to-day running the team, so I think he's a high eye. He don't want to deal with that. So he said, then when I come back, I can help grow our Colorado division. And so again, it was the right who. And he had a team leader under him who's a productivity coach, and he is an amazing coach. So we had him and 2 agents, and that leader is now running everything, and he's kind of the coach. And then when Mark comes back, Mark's going to be the recruiter and grab people. Bruce will be the coach, and then you have our agents service at a high level. And then we meet with our agents out there on a Zoom call every other week. Bruce meets with them weekly. And then on top of that, we're doing the client events, the marketing. So they're always talking to our guys here. They're on our team meetings. We do a monthly mastermind, just Colorado. That's on Friday this week. So we're trying to really have that close-knit feel. And Edie was out in Colorado last week, so she met them all for lunch, things like that. So again, it's that face-to-face, touch. And when we onboarded them, we flew out there, we spent the week with them, and we've been out there multiple times since.
Yeah, so that's a great, I want to talk about onboarding, but before we do, go back to Mark for just a second. It was very humbling hearing you say he knew what he was good at, right? And so when we talk about the concept of smaller team joining larger teams or smaller teams coming together and merging, it really is a humble moment to stop and just look at each other and say, what are our strengths and how do we play to these? And not let it be something that holds us back. Let's be part of something that's bigger. They have their systems together. They've got their culture in tight. And I'm just going to admit that I know how to sell some houses and I can run something, but here's where I'm at. What's your take on that, Josh?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he flat out admitted, when it comes to buying leads and things like that, he's great at building an agent's database and helping them grow that. But he experienced it in the past. He would grow agents' database and they were like, oh, this is awesome. But then that agent would leave him because now they got what they needed from him, but he wasn't offering leads or the marketing or things like that. He's a great guy and it wasn't any bad blood there.
Sure.
The agent would leave and build his own team because you've coached him up on what you can. Where for us, with us offering marketing and leads and ISA and stuff, there's just a little bit extra there that it keeps the agents engaged. And again, why go elsewhere? Because that costs a lot of money. Do I want to, if I'm doing 40, 50 deals a year, do I want to pay X amount of dollars for a TC or an admin if we're getting it here in the Edie Waters network?
Yeah, and the support that comes with that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and that's the big thing for us is no matter where you are, after 10 o'clock, I'm kind of wiped out and I'm asleep, but I have agents calling every single evening. And we have leadership set up and brokers on call every weekend and stuff. So agents know if you have a problem, you call us. And if I don't answer the phone, someone else is going to answer the phone and get you the answer you need. I think that's a big piece for us.
Yeah, I know that to be true. It's phenomenal how you guys run this at a leadership level. So let's stay with the idea of onboarding because you were headed there. Onboarding, easy plug and play, you think at this point?
We're working on it. We're always trying to better the system. We thought we had a really good 30, 60, 90, and then you tested us and said, okay, I need a different 30-day plan now. So now we're working on that. But I feel like when the agent comes in, they know, and it changed at first, and I know I'm bouncing a little bit here. At first, when we started growing, we would hire brand new agents fresh out of school because we were in growth mode. We wanted to bring people in. So when I first started, we had brand new agents. I had the time to sit down with them. This is how you write a contract. This is how you do this. Now, because of the level we're at, we don't. So it's not a huge standard, but we do require that our agents have closed at least 3 transactions because we want to make sure that they know how to write a contract. They have a little bit of knowledge behind that. So that's made it a little bit easier and taken some things off the onboarding plate. But when they onboard, yeah, they're pretty hot and heavy with us for the first week, where it's going over the CRM, contract, the team side of things, listing processes, and they meet all the staff and the ISAs, and we set them up with their calendars and all the stuff it takes. So it's kind of like drinking from a fire hose, like Keller Williams, but we handhold them through it. And then the following week, it's more kind of at least 2 or 3 times we want to meet with them and touch base. And then it kind of slowly goes where it's at least every single week. And that's our guarantee. We will meet with our agents every single week for a one-on-one, whether it's on the phone. We like to do Zoom or in person, but at the very least a phone call, and we have it plugged in on the calendar. It's the same day and time every week. And that has been a big thing for us. No matter how big we get, we've always said, we will do one-on-ones with you. And that might bite us in the backside one day, because if we're so big, I don't know how many hours of the day we're going to have to do that. But we spread that out between some of our leadership as well.
Yeah. So lean into that for just a second. Talk to us a little bit about what the leadership team looks like, and how is it that you guys are able to do all these one-on-ones?
Yeah, so Edie obviously is Edie, and she takes care of a lot of the original agents when I joined, some of the agents that were already here when I joined, kind of our top 20%. So she's working on those guys. And then the North office here, the Lee Summit, the Missouri side, I'm kind of handling those one-on-ones, and then some of the Colorado as well. And then Andrea, who's a former team leader, she's really high up in the board and stuff. She's handling some of the Kansas guys, and she's also a broker, and she handles kind of our team training across the board as well, because that's her passion. That's what she's really good at, is that training aspect.
Yeah. So you have a guarantee to agents that come on right now, as it stands, that you're going to get a one-on-one. From an expansion standpoint, I can't believe they're going to do that. So my challenge to you is going to be, we got to keep that expandable and duplicatable, right? So sidebar to our call on Thursday. So
yeah, that would be a challenge for sure.
Yeah, well, and we got this far, so I'm sure we can figure it out. So go back to the 30, 60, 90. If there's an agent that you're bringing on and they've got 3 transactions under their belt, 30, 60, 90 applies to them how?
Yeah, so just because the way our team runs is different to how every other team is. So it doesn't matter if you sold 50 homes or you sold 5. We want to make sure you understand the processes. You understand when you take a listing, you can let Michelle know, she'll type it all up for you, send you all the paperwork, so you can just go. You can send us your CMA, we'll print it out, bind it for you, you can just go. So we want them to understand that, because if you don't know that, you don't take advantage of the value of the team. And I've seen that a lot. And that's something that I've learned, actually, and it's kind of an aha as I'm saying it. The agents we struggled with in the past and we've had to like kind of re-onboard is because we went too fast in the 30, 60, 90, or they just really didn't understand it and they just nod and agree, and then they just want to go out and sell houses. But then the actual listing process or going under contract, they either mess up because they didn't know, or they get frustrated with us because they didn't know a system. So for example, we don't go live on a weekend with a home because our staff only work Monday through Friday. So they have to go live on we like to go on a Thursday or a Friday. Well, if an agent wants to go live on a Saturday, on a very rare occasion, of course, we're going to make it work. But that is not our kind of model to go live on a Friday because we don't have a staff member to do it. So things like that can cause some frustrations that I've learned over time.
So I think that was gold, what you just said, that the 30, 60, 90 is how we show them the value of the team, right? Because, you know, I want to say that this was probably, may have been, if memory serves me, March of 2020, and Gary comes out, and of course we're talking just the beginning stages of the pandemic. No one knows what's headed, but he says the value of a lead just went up, and teams need to remind team members why they're here and what our value is. And so often we hear that, right? It's like a team member left, they didn't see the value in it. So you're starting it out at 30, 60, 90. How does it weave in with some of these folks that you're mentioning that have been with you for years?
Yeah, that was at first when we started growing was a bit of a pain point for them, because again, when I joined, I said there was 5 of us. So when we got to 10, initially it was, oh my God, all these people are going to steal my leads. I'm losing out on opportunities. Well, no, it's bringing in more income. And like I said, Edie's not doing this for the money anymore. She wants to be profitable and obviously has to pay the bills, but she puts so much more money back into the team to help build this. So when I joined, our client event was pies in Thanksgiving. I thought, oh, this is the best place in the world. We had top producer and we gave out pies for Thanksgiving. I thought this was the best team ever. When now I'm jealous because I don't, like I said, I don't sell much because I get shouted at. And we have a client event at the Kansas City Zoo. We have pop buys during the year. And again, we do that for our expansion locations as well. But we have all of this stuff. We have new database systems. We have ISAs, marketing. But at the time, they didn't know that was the path we were going. We would explain it to them, but they want it now, you know? So when we started growing, they just felt the pain of you're taking my leads, you're taking my leads. But then when they started seeing the actual, like, well, now we have this, now we have this, they were like, oh, this is kind of nice. Yeah, keep growing.
Yeah, because it's almost like that. If I think about being a solo agent, I'm like, how am I supposed to pull off closing a zoo for a day? Right? But I'm talking to you guys, and that's just a matter of coordination.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Right. So what are some, I want to switch gears to, we've been about the hub and about what it takes to get in there. What are some of the key performance indicators that you look at when you're considering either absorbing a team, onboarding a team, maybe even a solo agent? What are some of the things you look at?
So the first thing really, and again, it sounds cliche and stuff, but it really is how are you as a person? Do you have the drive? Are you going to put the work in? Are you a cultural fit? And full transparency, we've turned down teams that sold 20 million in sales. And then we brought in newer people because culturally they were great people, but the culture fit with our team. They just ran completely different businesses and it wasn't going to be a good fit. So that first aspect is huge for us. And that's what Claudia, our director of operations, she's really looking for that. When she interviews people, she couldn't care less about her sales. That's my end. That's what I'm looking for. And are they going to be able to do the job? She's looking for the please, the thank you. Are you going to be working okay with our staff, or are you going to come in and cause problems? So that's number one. And then, like I mentioned, for me, it's the drive, and you can't teach it. You can teach everyone how to do the job, and hey, we have the leads and all this sort of stuff, but you can't teach waking up, actually making the calls, doing the open houses. So I'm looking for that and what they've done in the past to see if they have that hunger and drive. And if they do, and they're pleased and thank you, and they're good people, honestly, I'm happy with that. If we can work with you at that point, and we will roll the dice if you don't have the background. But they're some of the two key things I'm looking for.
Yeah, because Gary teaches us you can't teach motivation, right? That just doesn't happen. So let's say that we've gotten into a relationship together and you're like, all right, they're a cultural fit. Yep, we can absolutely help them. We are also business people. So when you get down to the next conversation, what are some of those indicators that you look for? Is it profitability? Is it units? What are you interested in?
Yeah, we want to look at your profit and loss. If you're a smaller team, if you're a solo agent, we just obviously talk about your background, your contracts, where are we at? What are some of your expenses? Because depending on what your expenses are, we want to make sure that we're going to give you value. I see some, again, no bash on teams, but I see some teams out there that is so, oh, you're another body. Oh, you're selling a lot of real estate. Come over here. And they couldn't care less about adding value. They just want your units and money. Where for us, we spoke with some people and I flat out told them, we're not going to be the best fit for you. I don't know where I can add value, but maybe that team down there can. Because if we're not adding value, you're not going to stick around long. And it's all well and good getting the income and the units for 6 months to a year, but then when you leave again, now I have to start all over again. So when we hire someone, we want that longevity and we want people to want to be here for a long time. Now things happen and people grow out of the position, that's fine. But our goal is to keep you here a long period of time. And we have agents that have been here for 7, 8, 9 years. So yeah, we'll look at your numbers and stuff and see what your expenses are, because we want to see, can we take that off your plate? Do you even need that anymore? Like kind of that coaching role there.
Yeah. So you look at P&L, we've got culture already. Does anything else play into a factor at that stage?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, your background a little bit. We like to see what you've been doing in the past. We don't care if you don't have a college degree and things like that, but we want to see that you haven't gone from high school, not worked and just lived at your mum and dad's house for the past 4 or 5 years and then thought, oh, I'm going to get into real estate because House Hunters is fun on TV. That's the thing we're trying to avoid.
The novelist.
Yeah. We're looking for that drive, why they want to do it. And like I mentioned, that why are they wanting to do it? Because if it's just a case of, I want to make a bunch of money and I want that flexibility, that's probably not going to be so great. We're not a team that makes you come in every single day and dial and make your calls. We are one of those teams that we want to hire the right people, and I've heard it before that says, if you hire accountable people, you don't have to hire people, you don't have to hold people accountable. So we're trying to hire those people and look for those people. We don't want to micromanage. We're so big and we're so busy that I don't want to have to call you every day and say, did you make your dials? Let me look at your board. Oh, yeah, you made 10 contacts today. We're not looking for that. We want to find people that want to run their own business. And the analogy we use is you have the Keller Williams umbrella, and then you have the Edie Waters umbrella and all these other teams, and we want your umbrella underneath ours. And we want you to run your own business using our tools, our systems, and our models. And we kind of have that. We have everything, and we offer everything to our agents. It's up to you what you want to pick and choose and use. It's not a one-size-fits-all, really.
Yeah, not at all. So, this is the perfect segue. How is expanding locally different than expanding across state lines? You've touched on it a little bit, but really dive into, like, is it as complicated as it sounds, you think?
It can be tough because you're talking to new leadership that you don't already have a connection with. So getting the approval from OPs, TLs, who they don't know who we are necessarily sometimes when we come into the location. And then they're thinking, okay, what value are you going to bring us? You're just going to come in and take our agents, that side of things. So working on that and building that trust. And so, for example, in Littleton, Colorado, every single month I teach 2 classes out there. It's not to hire anyone. I've never hired anyone from the class. It's an Ignite class. But one of our agents is there. We wanted to offer value to the market center, and that's how they wanted us to offer value. So we done it. So we want to partner with the market center and genuinely help them. Edie, myself, we love coaching and training. So we've gone out there and done masterminds and training, not a recruiting tool. Sometimes the TL wants it as a recruiting tool to bring people in, but then sometimes it's just, hey, I want you to come and talk to my top 20%. Great, we're not looking to hire them or take them away from you. Now, sometimes they reach out and want to talk, and that's fine. And we tell the TL, if they reach out, we're going to let you know, but sometimes that happens. But yeah, it's not a recruiter. We just want to add value there.
It just goes down to one of our fundamentals, right? It's a win-win. It's how can we together, everyone achieves more, not to be all bumper stickered and t-shirted out, right? But it's the reality of it. You come, there's something that I know about your team is that you guys genuinely come from contribution. It's one of those things where if you can impact somebody else's life and make their life that much better, you guys are all about it, whether they're on the team or not, right? What are agents looking for when they call you? And let's just say you've had one of these masterminds and someone says, hey, Josh, I'm interested. What is it that they're looking for when they call you?
I think it's just sometimes they don't know what they don't know and what other people can offer. They sometimes don't know. They hit their head. So Edie was hitting her head at another brokerage at 30 million every year. Didn't know what she didn't know. Came over to Keller Williams and then boom, shot up, and we done 152 million last year. And so I think sometimes it's that they hit their head on a certain system. They're like, do we want to take that jump into ISAs? Do we want to buy leads? Do we want to start marketing? And you absolutely can. But like we said earlier, do you want to do that? Do you want to go through the hiring, the coaching? It works, sometimes it doesn't work. Or can I merge with someone? And it's not a, you merge and this is the split. And some big teams are that way. We're not. We look at your P&L and how can we support? So sometimes they don't know what they don't know. And then when they talk to us, they're like, wow, I didn't know you had that. I want that, or I need that. And then that's where you try and make it work together. And again, it doesn't always merge. It's worth a conversation. But sometimes it works perfectly. For us, when we merged with Lucido, it was a perfect mix of what they had to offer and what we needed at the time.
Yeah, because Josh, don't you think that it's coming down to bandwidth, right? Like if you think about it, there's only so much a solo agent can do. There's only so much a small team can do. There's even so much that an expansion team can do. And yet that landscape is even getting a little larger. It really is, one of the things that impressed me the most about expansion was how much you could get done with how little.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, I mean, I'm the expansion director, but I had so many different hats, and sometimes I still do. But like I was running the ISA division, and I say running it, like helping coach and train them, because again, I was pretty much the only one that's ever done outbound calls at the time. So I was having to help them and give them advice. I'm not a trained ISA person. I've never been an ISA. But when we merged with Lucido Global, they had the #1 ISA from Redfin they had that was running their division. Well, he stepped in and he's helping them with that. And it's been a complete 180 to what we had. And it's been amazing. Just the different, even little things. So that's on my plate now. I talk with him once a week. He gives me an update. I check in with the ISAs because they're in the office and I say hi. But if they have problems, complaints, whatever, he now takes care of it. And that's saved me so much time every week.
Yeah. Well, it allows you to focus in on the true job behind the title.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So what are some of the challenges that you think an organization like yours faces in today's marketplace? And let's look at the industry as a whole.
I would say one of them within Keller Williams anyway is going to be the whole, what is the market center starting to offer the agents? So, you know, if they're going to start offering TCs at a cut rate or some leads here and there, some agents are going to be like, oh yeah, great, you're offering me leads. Well, are they good leads or are they junk leads? And again, it comes back to, are you calling them thinking you're busy and you work today because you called a lead? But I think that initial aspect within the market center is not that we're competing with a market center, but I think they're offering more stuff for solo agents. So that might be a bit of, we got to up our game and make sure that if they're offering this, we offer it, but at a higher level. So that's going to be one of them. And then I just think, I genuinely believe there are going to be these big mega teams out there. There's always going to be big teams. There's always going to be small teams and solo agents. But I think we are starting to see, and we're going to see more of the big mega team, like Gary's been saying. So for us, we wanted to be a part of that, and we saw the value of that pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's almost like it's the evolution of the industry, and you just happen to be positioned to help the evolution.
Yeah, agents just want more. I mean, I feel like I said, I've been doing it 7 or 8 years now. I grew up in the industry. My dad still sells back in England. And even from when I first started, the agents just want way more now. And not that the agents are lazy by any means, but they want to be so focused on sales and being in front of people. They don't want to have to do all the other stuff. So they want someone they can call to write a contract or write their paperwork for listings and upload stuff so they can just be out there selling more. So I think we just got to keep doing that even better.
Yeah. Well, Josh, if I were to take that and I were to spin it, I would say it's not that the agents want or don't want more, it's that the consumers are asking more of us, right? So that piece of, yeah, I mean, so what's your perspective on that lens when you turn it and you take it out of the team and you put it on the consumer?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this is me, I might get shouted at by some of you for this. When I first got into business, I was like, wow, I can charge 3% and make that much money. And especially in a hot market, like, did I really do much? I listed one the other day and it sold in a day and I really didn't do too much. The team done it, obviously. But we have to offer more now. But when you can come in and you can actually show them, we're doing this, it costs this, and this, we're doing marketing, and we can help the agent anyway prospect around the market center. I mean, there's so many different things that we can do that it's not just pictures, sign, sell it, you know, the walkthrough videos, the drones, all that stuff. So when I see a listing get all of that, then I'm like, okay, yeah, we've earned our money here. We put the time and effort in. But the consumers want that. The amount of times we go to appointments, they want staging, virtual staging, drone photography, video is big for us here right now. They want all that now because they see it all online and on TV. And if you're not offering that, for us, we can come in when we're competing with people and we can say, hey, here's all the support stuff that you get from our team. Here's everything we offer. This other agent's great, but do they have all of this? If I don't answer the phone, can you call my TC? Can you call this person? So that's worked well for us.
Yeah, that's a huge element, right? Because it goes back to the service piece. You know, I am fascinated by how human conditions will change and human behavior, especially, I don't know if we can call it post yet when Austin's on fire, right? But eventually when we get to the post part of this pandemic, we'll be able to look at the trends in human behavior, and service is one of those big pieces, right? I remember learning about how the industry now changed because of the fact that everything was, wait a minute, we used to say you could see the house on your couch. Now you can walk it on the couch, right? It becomes a completely different gig.
And I don't know if it's me, but I feel like when everything happened with lockdowns and stuff, people always talk about the tech world and, you know, is it going to put agents out of business and stuff? But I feel like in a weird way, what happened was good for us, because now when we actually meet people, they start really wanting our knowledge. They want to meet in person. They want you to walk them through the home and point out, like today I was out showing this morning, there was an issue with the fireplace. He wouldn't have known or had the answer if I didn't give it to him. He had no idea. I had to answer it for him. Well, if you can unlock the door yourself and walk through, you know, what value is there? So I feel like it's kind of come back around where in the long run, it may be better for us now. And we do have that value.
Yeah, well, that goes off of what Gary is talking to us about the fiduciary, right? It's like if we really took the fiduciary and we dissected it, that level of service, it's almost like you really don't, yeah, you can put other words and definitions behind it, but that level of service is still there. And yeah, there's the convenience factor. And yet, I don't know about you, Josh, sometimes you want to go shop for something and you want to see it and you want to touch it and you want to just make sure that it's still there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So knowing that we live in a world where we define failing forward as something that is actually a good thing, what are some of your fail forward moments that impacted the organization?
Good question. I think we had a few times where a few months we onboarded like 4 or 5 people in 1 month. Didn't work well for us. Maybe it was me personally, I just didn't feel like I had that connection with those agents. And then I had to kind of react later on down the line and really kind of solidify that relationship, take them to lunch and stuff, because it was kind of rushed because I couldn't spread myself out that thin. So I think being careful on when you onboard and how you onboard. If you have a ton of staff and you're able to bring in multiple people at one time, great. But for us at the time, it was myself and our director of ops that was doing a lot of the onboarding. And so trying to get 5 people in a room that are all different levels of business and different kind of, high D's, high S's, whatever, that was tough because they all learn at different paces. So we like to do the onboarding one at a time. So we have that intimate one-on-one. So that was a big learning thing, because those were the ones when we done that, we had a lot more pushback on, oh, I didn't know the TC done this. I didn't know they done this, because we couldn't teach them right. So that was one thing. The lead side of stuff, when you set up a system, being okay to change it. For us, changing our leads to go into an ISA, and agents being okay with, okay, you're not going to get 15 a month anymore because they're all going to the ISAs. Yes, you was getting 15, but how many were you converting? Now they go to the ISAs, you're getting appointments as opposed to leads. It just means you're going to get less though, but it's going to be better quality. What do you want? Do you want 2 appointments a month, or would you like 15 leads that you may not convert any of them? And so that mindset shift was something we had to work on, and the frustrations of agents sometimes, I'm not getting leads, especially when the business is lower for them. That's when the lead complaints come up.
Yeah, absolutely. Has there ever been a location that just didn't launch?
Not didn't launch, but we closed pretty quickly. And that was us. We was new into the expansion side of things. And again, it was a location where we had the right who, but the leadership in that location, it was new to them as well. And so they weren't willing to budge and make it work financially with the agent. So we actually kept one of the agents, and they transferred because they weren't happy with that market center anyway. We did not tell them to, they just wanted to. But the other people, it didn't make financial sense for them. And there was no work in there with the TC, or with the OP and the TL and stuff. So we kind of backed out of that one.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of last questions for you, and this is where I feel like, okay, we're finally to the meaty part of this, although everything that you have shared has just been fascinating, Josh. So this question, we're going to pose it to 2 different audiences. So let's look at this as if we were talking to agents that were considering joining any expansion team. What's one thing that they should know?
One thing they should know, honestly, it comes down to what's in it for me. One of Andrea Leslie, who is our kind of director of growth at Lucido, she always says you got to tune into that what's in it for me network. I can't WI. She has a, she knows what it is, but what's in it for me? Like, you need to know. I know it sounds selfish stuff, but if you're going to do something like that and merge with someone or partner with someone, however you want to word it, what is the benefit there? If you're just doing it just because it's like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, that's one thing. But if you're wanting to be hands-on and be part of something in the growth, you've got to believe in it, number one, and know that it's going to take you to the next level, even though it's not going to be perfect at times. And you've got to get through some things, but you've got to know what is in it for you. If there's no clear definition of, we can offer this, this, and this is how it's going to help you, that expansion team may not be for you. You might want to look elsewhere. And we interviewed multiple before we settled, before we found the partners we wanted.
Yeah. So now let's take that same question and let's just put it towards talking to teams that are considering expanding. So this is not about your network. This is a team out there that says, I'm thinking about expanding. What's one thing that you think that they should know?
Look real deep into what you have right now, and they say all the time, can you duplicate that elsewhere? Because if your TCs and your ISAs or whatever you have is working really well for your hub, but they're at their max capacity and you won't be able to support someone 50 miles away, 100 miles away, whatever it is, it might not be the right time. You might want to hire someone else to be able to support those people. So really looking at what you have, because if the minute you start expanding, if you bring some people in, you can't service them, how you service your hub agents, you're going to have that conflict and they're going to feel like that redheaded stepchild. And we're always constantly trying to battle that, because that's natural. If I'm over here and I'm on calls every time, you have that. But really looking at your organization, like, what we have, can we support other people with what we have? And if you can't, I wouldn't do it just yet.
Okay, that's great advice, Josh. So I have a direct message, and this person wants to remain anonymous. And what the question that they have asked is, so you were already a pretty massive organization just as Edie Water Network. Why join something as big as Bob Lucido's Global?
Yeah, great question. And so part of that was, like we mentioned with Edie and the legacy side of stuff, we feel like if you took Lucido equation out of it, we had a good structure and we had a good foundation of, God forbid something happened to Edie, there was enough money in the bank, we had enough systems in place, we had access to all the accounts that we could run this team okay, no problem. But Edie's still Edie. So if something happened to her, would there be some turnover? Yes, there would be those people that work with Edie for so long, but they feel like Edie's gone, I'm out, I'm going to retire early, or I'm going to do whatever. But bringing in Lucido, number one, they had their marketing is second to none, so they could work with our marketing team, the ISA support. There was a bunch of stuff they had, which was great for our agents, but it also just gave that another level of protection because God forbid something happened to Edie. Well, now we've got all these other systems and tools and all these great shiny objects for agents that they can be like, wow, that really sucks, but I still have all this and I can still run my business at a real high level. I'm good. I can carry on my business and I don't have to look elsewhere. I can just keep churning and burning. So that was a big part of it.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is this longevity piece. There's this piece that, because if we were to just respectfully put Edie on the shelf for a second, what I'm really hearing is the 7th level model, right? When you get that rainmaker that gets to that 7th level and they're wanting to get out of production, they want to own a business. We've got them throughout our company. In this particular scenario, this was the way of isolating that would be able to allow to carry itself on. And then having said that, Josh, what do you think is possible now that you are part of the Lucido Global?
Yeah, I mean, we've only been with them 60 days, I think now, 60, getting close to 9 days. And just the big difference, we're on a new CRM, which is the agents are stressing because they're learning a new CRM again. But what we can do with that already and what it's going to offer is going to be huge. The lead source side of things, the coaching and training that we get, the ISA stuff, the marketing. I mean, I could be here all day. They have just so many other things that we had, but they can just elevate that a little bit more. And so that's a big thing for us because I think you mentioned earlier, you hit a capacity at one point, and we feel like with our leadership and our team, we're doing so good. And like I said, we sold all 152 million last year. This year, we're going to blow past that, but it would have been smaller steps, where this is kind of like putting something on steroids. And I expect that, next year and the year after, we're going to see really big explosion in production and growth because of all this stuff that they're offering and supporting us with. And again, it comes down to your profit and loss. I mean, there's a lot of things in there that really make sense P&L wise.
Sure. So as we close out, a couple of thoughts around the training and the coaching piece, right? Some would say you're part of such a big organization, yet you and Edie both have one-on-one MAPS coach. Why?
Just amazing. And we're lucky because we get you, so it's been great. But no, it just gives you that outside perspective because, we're learning and growing with Lucido and stuff, but it's nice to have that other voice. And, when we were interviewing other people and other things, we can come to you and say, what do you think? What do you think on this? And so I think the MAPS coach side thing is, yes, you have Lucido, and that's why it was a great fit because they're like us. They don't want to micromanage. They said, we just want to add benefit to you guys. You already have something great. We just want to add a benefit to that. So they want us to keep running like we're running. So yes, they give us coaching and training and all these tools, but we're still doing the day-to-day. We're running this business. We're hands-on, and the decisions we make here in Kansas City, we got the green light to make. So we're still running our team. It's just we have this thing over here that we're like, hey, we need this. Can you help us? Hey, we need this. So that works really well.
Yeah. So for you guys, it's almost like having somebody in your own individual corner that you can have as your one-on-one coach, right? To its purest definition. And I wasn't looking for a plug. What I was looking for there was the curiosity as to what value did you see?
Well, you got to remember as well, I think as an agent or a big team, if you're on a team, yes, they support us and they coach us and train us, but we're a big organization. We're all over the country. So they're not looking at every single team day to day like, oh, we just had this problem with our TCs. We just had this problem with an agent. So when we talk with you every week, we can say, how do I fix this problem? Because we don't need to bug them about that problem. You know how to fix it and you give us the advice and we can go and fix it. We're not going to bug them about that unless we need to. So I think that is another thing.
There's a difference there. So we've got a question from Jeff in the chat box. Josh, is there an average time frame for a local expansion team to get up and running to profitability? An average time?
Question. Honestly, and this might not be the best answer, I think it really depends on the who and the situation. So for example, Mark, we absorbed his team, and again, he was already in our hub office, but I'm going to use that as an example. That was really quick because he already had producing agents. They had to just plug and play. We took their business to a higher level. So they just went from, they were selling decent, you know, their solo agents were selling 14, 15 a year. This year, they're probably on track. They are on track to sell about 30, 32 homes each. So their business has now doubled. But they were already selling. But if you're going into a market center and you have one person and they're a new agent, that timing is going to be so different. So not a great answer, but it does depend on that who you have, location and what they already have in place.
Yeah, so let's play that out for a second. So you expand into Colorado and you've got a group of talented individuals already. Was profitability instant?
Nope, no, they weren't selling at a high level. I think it would have been better should Mark have not been deployed, because he was the one, the kind of the rainmaker. He was the one bringing in the business, and the two agents we brought in were newer. So last year we wasn't profitable. This year we'll be profitable in that market center, and they're not going to sell a ton, but again, the price point's really nice. So that's why it's going to make more sense. So yeah, we'll be profitable this year there, but last year for the 6 months we had them, it wasn't profitable.
Okay. How about in-state?
Those ones, it depends on the location. We grew pretty quickly in Overland Park, and that's one of the top market centers in the nation. So in Kansas, on the Kansas side, it's about 25 minutes from here. We had producing people. So we had a husband and wife team. They're selling probably 50, 60 homes this year. We had a newer agent. She's going to sell 25 to 30 homes. So that one is profitable. The Prairie Village one, we're going to be close. We'll break even. We have one or two producing. The other ones are kind of producing, but not at a high level. So the expenses are a little bit higher there. But I don't, looking now, and again, I'd have to look at the numbers. I don't think we have any right now that we're just bleeding money out on.
No, that's not how you guys do things. That I know for sure. But it sounds like that range is dependent upon the level of the talent and the level of production that you bring on. And on the B side, it sounds like if you don't have that rainmaker in place, it's about a year's long time if you've got some producers in there.
Yeah, and I think it also comes down to if you have a strong hub and what you can offer them, you're not having to go to other these locations and say, we're paying this for you, we're paying this for you. I mean, it comes down to what you offer your agents here in the North office, we offer there. So we pay their office fee, we pay for their cars, their signs, all that sort of stuff, and the photography and things. We're offering that here anyway. So again, if you have the right who's selling, it's really just plug and play. We go and we're profitable right away. It's if you're taking the risk a little bit. We've done that on newer people and having to get them up and running. That takes you that 6 months to a year.
Yeah. All right, Josh. So take us home. Give us your final parting words.
No, I mean, if you have any questions, like I said, like Elizabeth said earlier, we love to talk, and I know there's some people in here that I spoke to in the past and done one-on-ones and coached agents and teams and stuff. You just let us know. We love to do that because, like I said, maybe we can borrow you guys to help coach and, hey Barry, we can have you guys help coach and train us at times. So no, just reach out if you need anything.
Absolutely. So for everyone who is listening to the playback that may not see the chat box, you can reach Josh Wells at 816-500-0120. And his email address is joshwells, WELLS @kw.com. He apparently wants his schedule just filled with people with questions. So don't let him down, everybody. All right. Reach out to Josh Wells. You know how to find him. Again, I'm Elizabeth Curry, MAPS Executive Coach. And Josh, it's been an absolute pleasure. I love the network. I love Bob. And this is a beautiful thing. So thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you, guys.